up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screen and LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump I won't forget. Buy high, die hodling. The gen brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale or get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shady clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die hodling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. FOMO's gone, greed's the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. Time in hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die hodling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I try.
Good morning, guys. I hope you're having an awesome day so far today. Bitcoin just had a wild candle. So I want to get a rush on here. So right now we can't jump in on a long, obviously. I was waiting for this level to break today at 67,560, close above that VWAP with a 15-minute candle. Unfortunately, the candle was really aggressive, so we'd have to wait for a pullback. The good news is we'd be mitigating a 30-minute order block by doing so. So that opposing threat won't be there anymore unless we, generate a new one along the way down. So right now, yeah, we're having that internal battle. We'll see how we do here. If we get that reversal pullback, then I'll be jumping in on the pullback for sure. We swept this low here. Yeah, giving us some liquidity to help fuel the fire, but the technical target wasn't that aggressive. The technical target was just like here for that SFP that occurred right after we created our 15-minute orb. Pretty intense. Let's see how we... But yeah, now it's just about a matter of hoping, crossing your fingers for the pullback. Then I'm going to be jumping in on the long, targeting the opposite side of the valley area up here at 70,105, and being very mindful of the point of control along the way at like 68,950. What do we got in the chat right now? We got Coma here, of course. Always here first. Wayne, how you doing, man? Noah. Yeah, Bitcoin's being rude right now. Yeah, you're right. Sterling, how you doing, Sterling? Alvin, Mikey, Crypto, what's up? Good morning. Buenos dias, Trip. How you doing? Okay, so yeah, the trade plan for today was one of two factors. Was either getting a bullish change of character after tapping this hourly order block, and then breaking momentum and running up towards the value high. We have some micro fractalization warnings of previous behavior where we kind of breached the momentum. It came down, then reversed with a double bottom, right, and ran up towards the value high. Same kind of thing. We breached it, grabbed liquidity from the upside, came down, we built a double bottom, and now we're breaking above momentum. But because it's so aggressive, you don't want to be jumping in on a candle like this, right? Think about your risk. where's your stop loss going to be, right? Where's your target going to be? And you want to make sure the R&R is there, right? Just trying to target the liquidity from this wick level high and the value area high here with the 6 hour order block. So lots of opposing threats here at this moment. So now it's just a matter of trying to get that R&R. So we're looking for that pullback to give us that. So we could retest this internal high. Look at lower time frames, like the 3-minute time frame, see if we have like a bullish flip or a bullish change of character, and turn off that. Watch the local highs, babysit around here, babysit around here at 68,950, and then if we get above the point of control, then we're most very likely going to have that target hit. It's just we have a few opposing threats we have to watch along the way. Now we're just kind of crossing our fingers for that pullback. And so far we're getting it. We mitigate this 30-minute order block, so we can delete that now. Right? That's likely there's likely residual sell orders there that's helping induce this sell shadow wick that we're seeing right now. We could pull a fib from the local low to the unestablished high. See if there's any confluences here. There's not much. So we'll see if we come down, retest these previous highs. That's what I'd be looking for, or maybe even lower at the 15-minute orb. And then we're looking for the low time frame. Sorry, that was my alarm. Super low time frame flip for the confluence after that. So we're almost there. All right, we got the candle close. So now it's about crossing our fingers for the pullback. And don't ape into that. The front run opportunity was the SFP. Block Party, how you doing, man? Yeah, we broke volume trend. Top chat, I gotta change that to live. Crypto Pollo, how you doing, bro? It's been a long time. Do we have any numbers coming out today? Let's pull that up. So under market market insights in our Discord here. Today is Wednesday, so 2 p.m. We have FOMC minutes today. So just doing a recap of our policy today. Well, Friday is our next data report. PCE. And yeah, and GDP estimate too. So nothing wild. You took the SFP. Good job, man. Alex Crypto in the house. Yeah, we were looking at the SFP this morning too. On our side, you got acceptance, and there's a lot of bullish confluence with it, sweeping these two lows simultaneously with that candle. Acceptance into the orb, and it suggested a rotation to at least this high, but we had a really good follow through, and we see in the lower time frames, like the 3-minute here, you can see that we held the orb as a form of support, closed above it, and that was a good indication that we would very likely be hitting the SFP measurable target. So now we could actually have continuation. So if you're in on the SFP, Alex, then I'd recommend like looking for a continuation. If you probably took some off the table, of course, after hitting that target, getting close to that VWAP, maybe the VWAP reaction. So we did start looking rough at the start, right? We had that engulfing candle reaction on the 3-minute. Well, no, it wasn't engulfing, but we had the tweezer top, right? But we just barely held with a doji response, and then got that higher high and off to the races from there. So now it's just about trying to establish that continuation. Got another tweezer reaction after mitigating that 30-minute order block in this zone here. Let's get that pullback for continuation here. So I'd recommend definitely keeping some on the table, man. We don't have any opposing structure yet telling us that we're coming down. Make some gains. Yeah, I'm doing great, man. We got Charles. What's up, Charles? Andrew. Daycare pump again. Told lads this morning that you're going in diaper duty. So just get ready. I feel like, yeah, it's not about the diaper anymore. It's about the Hobbit planning this for you. It's trying to help you out, man. We gotta start creating our own like indicator based on this. Give you your own channel inside the server. Tell us whenever you're changing diapers. Volume comes in like crazy every time. Party time. Yeah, it looks like most of you guys are bullish based on the poll here. Let's see how we do. Still got a lot of liquidity below us. So I think macro-wise, we're still coming back down here at 64.5 to grab that. Keep front running that golden pocket. There we go. Getting the pullback that we need. I'm going to make sure that I'm logged into my exchange. Yeah, I am. Yeah. Get my risk ready. Risk to lose 1%. I'm going to go to lower time frames now. Create a lower time frame form of demand alongside the VWAP. Testing the momentum. Let's see how we do. You're just trying to look for that internal posture now, suggesting support. Would be nice to see like a 2 candle pullback, then low, take that high, enter, watch the local highs, then babysit into POC. And then if we breach that, then we're here at our target. All right, coming there, get close. Got some Spanish speakers in here. You're not bullish, Crypto Pollo. Well, I'm just talking about locally right now, not like, yeah, not like to the moon kind of stuff. Last time it's a pump and full retracement. It's intense. But yeah, we just got to get that indication of support. And then we're good. All right, so we're coming close to the tapping the previous highs. So we could get a reaction off here. What the 1 minute look like? Internal momentum. Okay, so if we're gonna find support, it'd likely be around here or around the VWAP. And just can't ape in. We're looking for structures to suggest support first. Pull a fib from the low, the high, in the golden pocket right now. The downside with trying to reach the golden pocket is we'd breach the VWAP, and the VWAP would no longer be on our side. So we need to have that back on our side if you want the golden pocket confluence. Definitely would need to have like similar structure to this, right? Either like a bullish change character internally on the 1 minute. There we can narrow test on that. Three, 8, 2. Two candle pullback on the 1 minute. Sweep the low. Sweep the low. Doji on the 5. And there we go. Seven seconds on the candle. Okay, one more red. Come on. Just want the low taken, or at least a red candle. Okay, we got the red. So this will classify as a bullish flip if we close above that. Bullish change of character if we sweep this low first and then take that high. That's an inside bar reaction though. It's important to find out. We got high on this candle being at 67845, high on this candle being 67843.5. So this is an inside bar reaction. It is not great, but it's the high of this candle and the low of this candle wasn't breached. So this is not a technical proper pullback until the high or low is breached. Preferably, yeah, you need to take that low. You can do it. There we go. A little too strong. Orbook's still trying to make up his mind. Yeah. Well, we do know that there's a sell wall above us at just... Oh, maybe we mitigate that sell wall now, eh? Or is it closer to like 68.7? I think it was like 68.7. Yeah. All right, we got that low taken. We wanted that low taken. Didn't expect for it to be that aggressive. Let's go back to 3 minute. It's just a doji response. Okay, 1 minute. All right. See if we find support off the VWAP. We're tapping below this previous high. So we can see if we can have a higher time frame. So this is full body close in the 1 minute. So we have acceptance inside here in the 1 minute, which is technically bearish, but it's a 1 minute time frame. It's not like it's gonna break the bank or confirm macro moves. 3 minutes has a lot more strength behind it. So let's look as a wick level bounce off these highs, respecting the VWAP. Just honestly just looking for a reversal structure. If we got that internal change of character here in the 15 minute, and we're just trying to use a lower time frame structure to dictate whether or not this is safe for a continuation. And then we go after the unclaimed high in hopes that we break that. If not, we're reactional, preparing for an early exit. And same with this point of control will be the next boss. Alright, it's like a lower time frame form of demand. VWAP confluence. Previous high confluence. And we're getting our R&R as long as it's not like something way up here, like relative to our current stop loss. You could bring it up to this here, but you won't have like the 15-minute strong low on your side. You would have VWAP demand, like internal demand, and orb high on your side for this stop loss guard. And I usually recommend if you're not using like a really good strong low, to have at least 3 forms of confluences that would protect you. And you want one of those confluences to have something to do with structure. Alright, losing 1 minute momentum. Previous candle on the 30 is crazy. Let's take a look. Yeah, 30-minute sell shadow wick is insane. Still, oh, this wasn't a key level on the 30-minute. It's as if we close below the momentum again on 30. Fifteen's like a tweezer. And if we don't find the support here, we don't get the evidence of support, then we can stick to our original plan and look for longs down here again. Man, it does not want to hold. I'm going to delete this. We don't need this anymore. I'm going to keep this alarm here. You're about to lose. Yeah. VWAP. Internal demand. VWAP. So we need to get... This setup is not going to happen, is it? Alright, we're coming to the golden pocket from the pull from this high to this low. I mean, this low to this high. Yeah, we're breaching that too. Man, that's nuts. Well, that's why we wait for support and we don't catch the knife. That was invalidated. So this is what we were hoping for anyone who's just jumping in. We had the break. It was a violent break on the 15-minute of an internal level, right? So we had this internal pullback after sweeping these lows, grabbing this liquidity to help drive the price up. The technical target was here, but we broke. The technical target of the SFP, sorry, was right here. But we closed above the VWAP, giving us an opportunity to use both the VWAP and this previous high as a form of support for a continuation after breaking this momentum, this downtrending momentum here. Now we're below the VWAP. So we have a higher probability of continuing to go down. We're hoping for that support reaction in lower time frames. We're using internal low time frame structure to define support so we can front run an entry of this potential break of structure for continuation. But we didn't get any of that evidence of support, so we couldn't take the entry. Pain in the butt. But, you know, saving yourself from a bad trade, knowing what to look for, it definitely will increase your win rate. Really, we were off by this was been the better scenario. When looking for a long here, we were kind of lacking in this scenario was like, you know, break up the local momentum on like I know we're using the 1 minute time frame to dissect stuff. We had the proper pullback here, establishing this internal high. We took the low that we wanted to take, so we could rotate the internal strong high to here. We take that strong high, you could use this as our stop loss guard, and then you'd ride it to the local high in hopes we have a full body candle close so we can have like that higher time frame break of structure. And like me personally, like when it comes to using the lower time frame posture, I don't like using the low time frame like strong lows. I'd look left to see if there's any other barriers I could use. So I was going to use this as my stop loss guard. But it didn't play out, so if the structure tells us we're not going to find support, then you obviously don't take the short, or the long, sorry. And now we're kind of ping-ponging back inside the orb. Now, what I would prefer now for posture or evidence of support is, you know, price action to sweep this low right here that we haven't taken yet, and we likely stack more liquidity here. We could look at the 24-hour liquidity heat map to help define like a bias or key levels where we can grab some liquidity, hit this hourly order block, deviate slowly, like slightly below the 11-day value area low, and then get acceptance into the value area with the confluence of acceptance into the orb, and then go for a long again from here. So we shouldn't have to wait very long for the next setup. But yeah, congrats to Alex. I know some people in our community also jumped in the long there. That was a great SFP. A double sweep of the low, went beyond the target, mitigated a 30-minute order block. That order block was your first indication. Take some. Well, your first TP would have been here. TP2 would have been here, and then I would have left a moon bag for sure for that continuation possibility. But once we close below the VWAP, I would say it's game over and take the rest out. Like it could get awkward here. Another scenario, if we don't come down to these lows, which I would prefer down here because we'd have more R&R, right? Like we're still kind of holding off of the golden pocket, the orb here. So if we have reversal posture here, you would kind of want your pullback neckline or your key level to be flush with the VWAP, right? And then close above that VWAP again, and then jump in on it in hopes that we don't have a stupid regressive candle like this. If it's super aggressive like that, they tend to be retraced. Kind of like what we saw here. We'll find out. This candle's looking like it might close below this wick. Back at break even now. You've been stuck in a short since just before the pump. Happy. Oh, I'm glad it's back down for you, man. Yeah, that's rough. If you're stuck in a short, I'm guessing your stop loss didn't work. But if you're back at break even, man, I would. If you're not still in for the same reasoning, like, I wouldn't hold it and cross your fingers. Like once your invalidation point was hit, like I'm sure your invalidation point was probably around here for your short, like 67.673. I'd say you're very lucky right now to have this retracement. Yeah, I'd always recommend the first thing you do every time you jump into a trade is set your stop loss. Find your invalidation point where you'll know you're wrong, right? And do it immediately because you never know the scenario where your power might go out or maybe you can't use your phone for trading. Or the exchange, the engine shuts down. Because what happens is they timestamp your stuff, right? If the engine shuts down, they'll timestamp it every time you put a stop loss in place. Every time you set up an order, it's timestamped. So if you don't have a stop loss in place and your stop loss for any reason is not honored because of engine failure, then you won't have any evidence to tell them that it's their fault, right? They'll always find a way to make it your fault. It's not because they don't like you, it's just because it's their job, right? What do you need to see for giving up of going long and looking for a short? To give up looking for a long depends on how we behave at this valley area low. So we haven't had a scenario here for it, so I can give you an example, but basically price action coming down, mitigating the order block, retesting the valley area low, and then getting that lower low. That's a structural evidence of us losing a valley area, right? And telling us that we could be going down to a local demand zone or a previous valley area. Our positioning right now, macro-wise, is pretty darn bearish, right? So if we zoom out on the daily here, and we look at where we are relative to this previous valley area, we are basically combating the valley area high in the form of a double top, right? And that valley area rejection would confirm a move down. Your first target would be this point of control. If you're just looking at valley area data and nothing else, it would be the point of control. And then the next one would be the valley area low at 59,000, right? Which I'm hoping gets taken eventually, so I can prepare for macro inverse perpetual long and rotate some key levels on our market structure here, because our change of character levels right now for the daily, it's really, really, really high. I remember complaining about it here, it being way up here at 107, but now that we broke this low and rotated to 98, it still seems like way too far up, right? So we'd want to have that lower low taken so we can have our daily, we don't have a daily pullback, proper pullback yet, but at least our 12-hour key level rotate to here, so we can have not an early entry, like we can have an SFP around here that we can jump in on to front run everything. But if we break this 12-hour, that's a huge indication. Assuming we break this low and rotate our 12-hour, it'd be a huge indication of a rotation back up to like at least 90, the 90K level, like 86K would be our first area of concern. Right here. We have a supply zone here. Yeah, 86K. If we breach past that, get acceptance in the value area, then we can rotate back up to like 95K area. Then our big boss that we want to have to beat is 107 to like 100K here. Like this really strong supply zone that I'm worried about along the way up. But that's the macro vision. So I really want that low taken so we can alter some key levels. We'd have more structural confluence for swing traders to jump in if we breach this high up here at like 72K. And our little mini boss along the way would be the supply here. We go like the 6-hour time frame, it's a lot more evident, right? We got an 8-hour, 12-hour order block. We can hit our head, and I think that this will just induce a pullback to give us an opportunity to have this active support. But it's always risky jumping in on shorts at valley area lows. So you just really got to look at your macro placement. So if we get that break of structure, mitigate the hourly order block, right? Use the valley area high, low as resistance. And then that confirmation entry, the thing is, you'll be jumping in, looking to prepare to get out around 64.5. We have a golden pocket from this low to that high here. The low being at like the 59.9 level and the high being at like 72.3. And our gold pocket is wrapping around over $200 million worth of liquidity, like $155 million worth of liquidity alone on Binance. So here there's a liquidity cluster that if hit, it could be used as entry liquidity for large players. So we have to be cautious that this could be used to induce a bounce. It might not be the bounce that, you know, causes a macro reversal, but it could be a bounce that you don't want to be a part of while being a short, right? So here you'd have to watch very cautiously as we take this low and grab liquidity from that low. Any reversal structure, I would say get out, because we could come right back up from there. Maybe stay range bound for a little longer. The last time we were ranging here, it was for 250 days, right? I spoke about this last time. As soon as we got it, like acceptance in this value area in the lower time frames, I warned people that we could be stuck here for over 100 days in this area. And like right now, it's only been about 13 days. But you know, we're at our orb low now. So we might see a little bit of a bounce reaction, but it might not bring us very far up. You get that frying pan structure right now. This is the key level. If broken, the measurable move is really small. Yeah, super small. Is there anything you guys want to look at? What happened to make the quit your job to trade checklist? Oh, I still got to work on that, man. There's some things in the background that I'm kind of juggling a lot at once. I shouldn't do that to myself. Working on upgrading the course platform Today I'm doing some changes to the Discord, improving the Discord a bit. We created a template for highlight system for our coaching calls and for our YouTube lives. So it takes some clips out of them, and then we'll post them inside of the Discord as a feed for you guys, so you can look at some highlights based on questions you guys ask being answered and stuff like that. So you guys can search with like a Control F system, or even just using the internal like Discord system here, looking for key words or questions. You'll see the changes very soon. But yeah, I can get that checklist to you guys by the end of this week, I promise. All the things you need to do before quitting your job to become a full-time trader. Cardano, yeah, Vintage. We'll look at Cardano right now. We looked at that a little bit this morning, compared it to Ondo in terms of its structure and seeing how. Sorry about the alarm there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So Cardano is a really critical moment. Ondo is in a really critical moment. Their posture is almost identical. The 30 cents, it's a big macro key area, and now we're fighting it as a form of resistance. Luckily, we do have that inverse head and shoulders kind of posture. We stacked liquidity here and here. We didn't sweep up and take it, right? So that liquidity compounding in that area gives us a better reasoning to come back up for it. That's why inverse head and shoulders usually play out so well. They use that liquidity as buy-side liquidity to help drive the market up, and you can use the momentum to help guide you into understanding where we can likely go before we start seeing reversal. And like based on our current posture, if it were to be confirmed that way, which would mean us breaking this internal range high right here and coming up to retest these highs at the value area high, and then what you want to see from there is either A, a retest to the value area high and then a higher high, or B, a retest on the previous highs and then a higher high, confirming a move up from there. It always is a lot more safer to try to get in on longs at the value area lows to front run all that, but it wouldn't invalidate a move up, but it would invalidate this inverse head and shoulders posture that suggests that momentum can drive us much higher. Because when we consolidate for a long time, the momentum kind of fades. If momentum continues, it kind of gauges predictable behavior and predictable targets. So I recommend you guys back testing everything I'm saying when it comes to this. But basically, when you have a pullback, stack liquidity, lower low, pullback, and then you have that bullish change of character, we use the liquidity from here as buy side liquidity, and you have a measurable based move from the resistance to that neckline, or the head there, sorry, and you bring it to the neckline where the resistance is, and then you have a measurable target. Go back in time and see how many times that happens. It's insane. It's ridiculous how often an inverse head and shoulders has such a predictable target like that. And of course, what you want to watch out for in a live environment when you start doing if you start trading that kind of structure, you look for supply along the way that could prevent the target from being hit, right? So if we take this example, we have some supply here, we have some supply here, and it could prevent this target from being hit, but you just look for those opposing reactions when you get there. But it does suggest a breach to like all the way up to 40 cents if the momentum were to be continued from here. But anyways, until that's all hypothetical right now based on our current posture. It's not confirmed yet, but it's lost uptrending momentum since this low. It started going range bound since then. We have a really ridiculously strong point of control right here. We can watch this volume shelf at 27.44. We have a little demand zone right there that hasn't been mitigated yet, right? So you can draw that as an area of interest. We tapped it, like once, but we haven't fully mitigated the demand. If it was an order block, that'd be different. You tap it once, then you just ignore it from there. Right, so we have volume shelf demand support here, where you can prepare for short-term longs to the top of the local range in hopes that we break and get the continuation from there. So that could be a front run opportunity around here at 27.7, right? Otherwise, if we don't find that internal support, then you'll be watching the point of control. If that breaches, you'll be looking for low longs around 26 cents. Why Ondo kind of relates to this, you can kind of, it's almost like a screenshot between the two charts. Sorry about the alarm rotation. Yeah. Every time I rotate to a chart, the alarm's going to go off. But yeah, same kind of story with Ondo. It's Ondo's point of control is lower. We have more interest down here. Right? So mainly what's holding us up is these previous highs. We have a volume shelf here as well. But yeah, same kind of story. We could prepare for a bounce off here, rotation to the valley area high, break of this high. The difference is Ondo has taken some liquidity from this high over here on the left. So that was really good short confluence coming around through here. So if you're in a short on this, you'd want to have that break, acceptance back inside this range, previous range, and then get a rotation down to its point of control at 24.7, and maybe even lower at 23.7. But otherwise, yeah, that posture is looking like there's accumulation. So let's see if we break this high, use it as support, and run up from there. This was a supply that kind of helped induce the initial drop. So we'd have to watch this as our main concern along the way up. So preferably, if you're looking for that break of structure for continuation posture, we want that mitigated. And then we can finally break that macro downtrending momentum. If you zoom out on this, guys, Ondo is in a really bad spot. Like, it is at the last demand zone since its creation. So yeah, when you zoom in, it looks like you're about to jump in on a potential long to at its like range highs. Of course, it's kind of nerve-wracking jumping in longs like that. You'd prefer to be on the longs at the valley area low kind of zone. But like relative to where we are, we have stacked a lot of liquidity up here for us to come back up and try to take it. You kind of want to have that pairing confluence with Bitcoin. Like, there's a lot of Ethereum liquidity with Ondo, and Ethereum has a lot of liquidity with Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin moves up, it's going to cause ETH to get pulled, and then that's going to help cause Ondo to go up. Ondo has most of its liquidity in stable coins, but it does have a decent amount of Ethereum liquidity too. And you can validate that on CoinMarketCap. Okay. So yeah, great spot to prepare for a spot buy for Ondo. But I do recommend waiting for that position of strength, because you do not want a body candle close below here. We start going to price discovery in a negative way to the downside. How's Bitcoin doing? Still chilling? Okay. Chilling inside the orb. Why does that alarm go off when you switch charts? I have accidentally switched charts before and I didn't know it right away. Is that why? Yeah, so when you have an alarm set for one chart and it goes off, let's say it's like a change of character alarm that you set for yourself. Once you switch to another chart that you haven't been on since that alarm went off, it's going to notify you an alarm went off, because it's just a lagging, notifying you that when your alarms have gone off, that's all. If I go to my chain link, you hear it again probably. Oh, unless we went to chain link prior to that. Chainlink right now, by the way, it's losing its point of control as a form of resistance. If we get that lower low, we can expect the rotation down to its valley area low at $8.45. There's a 30-minute order block down here, demand here, valley area low here. So we can look for longs again here for Chainlink for this range. We had a request to look at another asset. What was it? There's BNB. Cleared up liquidity high without making new high. Yeah. I kind of want that low too, man. Reset the structure a bit. Trading internally is always awkward. Like we got that inverse head and shoulders posture now on the 1 minute time frame. Right? Measurable target. Suggesting here. Basically POC barrier. Supply barrier. It's all super low time frame. Tweezer reaction, so we'll see how this candle closes. But if it doesn't engulf, I think we're fine. It'll probably see it inch its way up. It didn't engulf. I'm probably going to come up to test that view up again. Let's look at BNB. We had a request to look at that. I think I might have missed another one, but I'll circle back to that. We have a BNB chart, but we haven't looked at it since February 11th, so about 7 days ago. Yeah, we want that sweep of that low. We can adjust our fixed range volume profile pole. And we've been range bound here on BNB for 12 days, almost 13. Well, let's zoom out on this thing for really quick. So we can see that we had acceptance inside of a previous valley area here. I got labeled for 95 day plus valley area. We zoom out. Yeah, it's this consolidation. Back here. Right? Yeah, so we breached that, had it act as a form of resistance, drove us down. So we're at a previous point of control that kind of held us up. We tapped that valley area low perfectly from the wick level crash. So we could come down and rotate to that previous valley area low and grab that wick, which would give us a really good evolving macro structure if we do. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers for that event, similar to what we're kind of crossing our fingers for with Bitcoin. Let's see. So we broke this momentum. Yeah, locally right now we're at a, let me delete this. We're at our, dancing off our point of control. You want this low swept. Yeah, so here we'd have some decent confluence for longs, right? Sweep the low, liquidity, bounce off a previous 95-day point of control. Look for that bullish change of character. Could use the 15-minute time frame. Then you'd watch your first thing that you babysit is the point of control. Breaching past that, you'd start watching the downtrending momentum. See if there's any sell orders in the order books trailing this, right? It's very, very common to see order books adjust like almost every hour following momentum, right? And if that order book reveals that there is no sell wall, then we're very, very likely going to break past it and then start rotating up to the local value area high. So that's what I'd be personally waiting for BNB. Just a rotation down to the value area low. Our market structure is ugly right now. Just draw this out. All right, we got then we took that high. Oh, we swept the high. Rotating strong low to here. Strong, yeah. Now we're internal. We're internal between here and here. Yeah, so we want this low taken. Our market structural bias would make us late on the 15-minute. So everything's kind of trapped between here and here. So if we take this low, then we can, yeah, that would flip bullish at that point. At $604.49. Let's go back to Bitcoin. All right, we got that. We got stuffed. Come down. Take our. Still waiting for around here for long. I close down some of these charts before it slows down my computer. Thanks, Coma. Let's take a look at that. Cardano, XMR. So we looked at Cardano already. We looked at BNB already. We can look at XMR. I need real help. What's going on, Nathan? Ask any questions you like, man. If you need help with anything. No question's a dumb question. Nothing trading wise is like common sense, right? Everyone starts somewhere. I made every mistake possible when I first started trading. XMR, let's take a look. Now, I want you guys to be super cautious with XMR for multiple reasons. Not trading wise, but I've noticed a huge trend, and I'm sure Alex with Crypto's noticed it too, with the type of tickets that we get. XMR is a secret network, right? Or considered that at least. So when you interact with it, I've noticed that exchanges have been freezing your ability to withdraw, right? So so I wouldn't interact with any funds that would flow out of a secret network into your exchange or vice versa. I don't even know why they even allow you to deposit if they're gonna be doing stuff like that. But I've noticed it's been quite often where people have been having their accounts frozen. So just be aware of that. Like, I'm able to fix it for some people, but I don't know what the thinking is right now with exchanges. Maybe it's something to do with all the crap going on around the world. But yeah, just be cautious interacting with secret networks right now. Like, how you move your funds to and from your exchanges it's gonna be really important. Maybe a workaround would be, like, if you're using a secret network, bring your funds to a hot wallet on a different network, like MetaMask, and then flow it from your MetaMask to the exchange. All right, so you have to hop it around a bit first. Otherwise, yeah, I think they might freeze your account for interacting with it. It's been a really big pain in the butt. Yeah, it just automatically triggers an investigation now. Okay, XMR. So I don't have an XMR chart. I swear I thought I did. XMR layout. But what I'll do is I'll just search it up. It's Monero. We can look at it on the KuCoin chart, but KuCoin doesn't have that much the best liquidity. But it has a lot of history of Monero. We'll pull it up. So we have that macro market structure. Let's go on the daily first. It's been a while since we've done TA on it. We were watching for like a potential bounce off this momentum. Momentum was lost. We lost VWAP. And now we're at the more broad momentum right here that's been holding it up since the value of $104. So think of this as like the macro pace of the buyers right here. And then from all the social media crap that's been going on and all of the privacy concerns going on, we saw like a big move upwards with assets like Monero and Zcash. So yeah, big move up from that as people start to adopt more privacy tokens. But now we're back down to this upturning momentum again. We just recently swept this previous low right here, giving us that initial liquidity for this uptick back up. We're pulling back, potentially giving us a setup for a bullish flip. Not a bullish change of character, bullish flip. We can see that even though we're on the daily, we have a doji reaction here. So lower time frames, there could be evidence of supply. And there is right there. We can grab a rectangle, encase that area. We have the confluence of the 200-day EMA in our face there. So initially, this is going to be a place where you prepare for a short. But if we get a break of structure, there's like, you initially would go here assuming resistance, right? Hitting a head off here, going into supply. Then you look for that bearish change of character, right? And that would confirm it acting as resistance when you have that bearish change of character. And you can start targeting the local lows. You can pull a fixed range here to help guide you into understanding some key levels. You would pull your fixed range to the start of this area, not to the supply, because the supply has yet to be mitigated. If we went range bound here, then came down with the bearish change of character, then you could include it in your pull. But right now we need to just do from here to here. So obviously we'd have value area high confluence with this. But we might not even reach that high. Another scenario, well, a way to know that we could actually be going up and not down here is if we break this high, maybe test the 200-day EMA, pull back, higher high, stop loss guard here, and they can run up from there. We do have a little bit of concern here in the 50-day EMA, but getting it back above that would help give us a golden cross. Let's see. Usually the 50 is the one to cross over. It'll take some time for us to have that catch up. But I'll clear our recent noise here. Adapt this pull. And just watch out for this value area as an opposing threat. But right now, the way I'm looking at this, it's very bear flaggy, right? The reason why bear flags are more statistically likely to break to the downside is because of how they take liquidity from the upside, right? But they keep stacking it below us. So it creates a bearish bias for us to go down. So we are more statistically likely to go down based on this posture. We're kind of like fighting against this. This is an internal supply issue right here. We tapped into it twice. I wonder if we SFP'd that. Let's grab. We did. Okay. So we had an SFP right here with this candle. This was the confirming SFP candle. This green one. The technical target is most recent proper 2 candle pullback. So it is targeting here. We do have barriers, of course, that you'd watch along the way, which is these previous highs, trying to act as a form of support. But yeah, we're pretty close to confirming the loss of that. So we're currently breaching the momentum. A close below here would give us a break of structure for continuation. And then our next area of interest we'd watch out for prior to that target to be hit is this POC, which is at $328.80. You see a low time frame opposing reaction there. Then you get out. We're on the hourly right now, so you'd have a lot of room to look at a lower time frame to dissect the price action to tell you that, okay, maybe we should get out, right? So like a 15-minute is a good dissection of the hourly. It's like a bullish change of character here. Internal change of character would tell you, okay, we're not going to be hitting that target. If it's an SFP, you're in on a really good position either way. Like in terms of R&R, your short position would be something like this. Stop loss above the wick. You'd be targeting this level low here. It's a 1 to 6, so you risk to lose $100 to gain $652 minus the fees. Right? And relative to where we are right now, you're beyond your 1 to 2. So you can close half here, put your stop loss at your guard, and you'll be set. If you took that. I'm not sure why you want me to look at Monero, but if you took the SFP, that's how I would take it, how to manage it. I'd be watching here in that low in hopes that we get that full rotation down to the value area low to then prepare for longs again. So we can draw that here for the next time we look at this chart together. All right, cool. I hope that helps you out. How's Bitcoin doing? Let's go to the 5. Still dancing the orb. Oh, we have the chat. Hit the like button. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Kyle, are you specific talking about those who have deposited XMR? Yes, depositing XMR, depositing from any secret network, depositing Zcash. It could result in you, or even withdrawing to the network. It could result in you being investigated by the exchange. So just be super cautious about that. I've had like 5 people already message me asking me for help on trying to get their accounts. Like, having the, basically all I could really do is escalate the process of them like investigating the account. Okay, I think we're caught up on all the requests. Do you guys want to look at anything else? Bitcoin's doing nothing right now, so if you got time. In about 15 minutes, I got to do a team meeting, and then we're going to be going to working a little bit on improving the Discord a bit. And I got to do some recording. Got to update the record. As soon as I'm done that, I'm going to be upgrading the orientation course that comes with the membership that kind of teach you how to use our Discord, because it's a big one. There's lots of stuff in it, so I want to make sure everyone's like comfortable and understanding what they're looking for, what tools we have. Okay. How's Bitcoin dominance doing? 58.6%. Still stuck in the range. Let's zoom out here. What's nice about value areas is that they work well with dominance charts. All right, Right, we had a key level up here. We're preparing for rejection to come down. And yeah, so like whenever you see Bitcoin dominance building structure suggesting that we could be coming down soon, it's really good for confidence when you're jumping in and focusing on your altcoin setups, because at that time there's a greater chance that altcoins will have relative strength, right? So you can shift your focus to on alts during that period. So this is a really good chart for that kind of scenario. So now we're kind of in that position where we can expect weakness in alts very soon. So we can delete some of this noise. Let's see right here, we can start our fixed range volume profile poll. We've been consolidating in this percentage-based range for 145 days. So it's not like it's a pretty significant area. We have downtrending momentum right here. Think of this as like rather than the pace of the sellers, the pace of the interest in Bitcoin, right? So we're seeing rotation. It's mostly going into alts and stable coins at this time. And to find out that answer, whether or not it's going into alts or going into stable coins, you have USD dominance to help assist in that, and others dominance to help assist in that. So if you see like others dominance going up, but USD dominance either staying still or going down while this chart is going up, then that tells you that the interest is going into alts at that time. It's like a 3-layer system if you want to really monitor it. And we got definitely we have a key level here of resistance, right? So right now we're focusing around here at 59.15%. Wanting to see that break to prepare for a rotation up, but we could take this low and alter that key level to a lower level. We do have the consecutive pullback here to find this potentially as a, like this is currently the unclaimed high, but if we take this low, this could be a good key level to watch for like the strong high rotation and prepare for a move up from there. So we'd want to see us come down here, sweep this, and then prepare for this break of momentum, acceptance to the value area, and then expect strength back inside Bitcoin again. And that could mean funds rotating out of USDT. We could look at USD dominance and see how it looks in correlation to that. And it will look upside down to that, right? So as Bitcoin dominance is approaching the low of the value area, we can see that USD dominance is approaching the high. So this is where we prepare for a rotation of funds coming out of USDT, which is bullish for Bitcoin and potentially altcoins too. So we're looking at something similar to what we saw here, right? And the last time that happened was in February, right? Building a bit of a regression trend. If there's liquidity here, and there isn't, it does kind of give you an idea of how liquidity might be staged in other assets, but like mostly regression trends. But yeah, we would be focusing to the downside if we're visualizing any form of liquidity on a chart like this. So we're preparing for this to drop from 8% down to around 7.6%. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but as the market cap of USDT grows, the more significant that becomes. So you can actually find out the math on that relatively easy. Like what would a drawdown of 1% of the market cap look like if it was injected into Bitcoin's market cap or an altcoin's market cap, right? And you can find out that relative percentage based input by looking at Bitcoin dominance versus others' dominance. And you can really, if you want to be hyper analytical, that's a good way to go. Let me reset this chart a little bit. There we go. But you technically want this thing to be crashing down to like 6% for us to really start seeing things be bullish. Okay, what did you do in Bitcoin? Still in the orb. Man. They're trying to bore us to death, guys. Well, where do you get the volume indicators? Not sure the name, the one you pulled from the left vertical side. So that's called the fixed range volume profile. And I believe it's free, even on the Essentials plan for TradingView. Where you'd find your long and short position tool, there's a projection tab, and below that there's your volume based tab here. And I recommend favoriting it if you're planning on using it, so it could be a part of your quick menu up here. I got two that it's really habitual. I always go over here, even though I know it's like right up here. But yeah, it's right over here on the left hand side where you find your long position tool. It's a skill-based indicator, so it does take a bit of practice to know when to do your pulls. There's also the problem is like there's a lot of information out there floating around how you could use it. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of ways you can use it. The way I use it is based on active ranges and how you define a range. So I look for either supply, impulse move down, bullish change of character, bearish change of character. You can start your pull, right? If this occurred and mitigated this supply, then you include that into your pull. Same thing in an uptrend. Impulse move up, basic structure, impulse move up, creating demand, bearish change of character, assuming a target of that demand, coming down, bullish change of character, you start your pull. And if you mitigate that demand, you include it in your pull. But there are ways you can use it where you just click the top of a range and you drag it down to the bottom range to find out a key level for a rejection. So you can do like kind of like sniper-based entries, whether it be macro or local. You can use it for like your daily value area, finding out every single time a daily candle closes, you can pull it and use it that way. But I teach this in the clairvoyant strategy and how you can use it the way I use it. We're looking for supply, bullish change of character, bearish change of character. You start your pull, right? And we've been using it kind of ever since for about 12 days now. Time creates strength with value areas. So the longer we're in an area, the more the value area low, the more the value area high, and the more the POC is respected. If it's young, then you definitely need to, no matter what, you should be waiting for structure, but it becomes a lot more critical at that point when it's young. Where did I learn my trading? My current trading strategy, the clairvoyant strategy, is actually something that I created myself. So it's a combination of what I learned in the past and just merging it all together. So it started as me back testing double bottoms, like going through every single double bottom posture like this, going back in time and replay mode, because you can click on this button and you can go literally back in time and practice trading the same kind of setup over and over and over again, logging it to see how often it wins, logging it to see how often it loses, finding out during what times of the day is it more likely to be profitable. So I started off back testing double bottoms, right? Like this. There's ascending ones, descending ones, and seeing which ones are more likely to play out well. Descending ones tend to play out a lot more because of how it induces more trade participants and more liquidity. So when you have price action come down like this, bounce and take this low, the moment it takes that low, it induces short traders to jump in, putting their stop losses here, putting their liquidation levels here, right? So when we return to come back up and we take that liquidity, it's used as buy side liquidity to help market makers enter in their position. And you can use vector candles to help identify if it's more likely to be a market maker or not, or volume as well when you see a break in the volume trend. So these play out the most. And then I started looking at value areas as a separate layer of confluence, right? You can also use divergence as another layer of confluence. And I found that, not every double bottom is equal. Some lose, some win a lot more often than others. And I wanted to find out which ones are more likely to win, right? So I found that establishing most of your entries at a value area low, right, like this, comes with a much, much higher win rate, right? And then, you can refine it even further, like what deviations from a value area tend to give you the best opportunities, right? So I use Fibonacci to create equilibrium points. You can find that roughly around the 25% deviation of the value area to the 50% deviation of the value area tend to give you the best opportunities, right? So it's just about stacking layers and layers of confluence, and that's all of a sudden you have a strategy, and you can name it whatever you want, right? So market structure is layer 1. Looking for that bullish change of character is a part of that market structure. And then value areas is layer 2. Momentum, although it's not as important, you technically would definitely want that have broken, so you know that the pace of the sellers have shifted into more of a macro sense. So you don't end up hitting your head here and coming down. If you had the positioning of their double bottom like around here when it breaks, right? And we break that momentum and confluence with acceptance into the value area and confluence with getting that bullish change of character, then you have much higher probabilities of driving the price back up. So this has become like my primary way of trading ever since. That's got to me where I'm at now. And yes, I try to improve it as much as I can, finding weaknesses, finding it when it's strong is the best. Like, for example, I know this thing suffers when we're between the 200 and the 50-day EMA. So we end up having to use the 200 and 50-day EMA almost like they are the value areas, high value area lows. You're looking for opposing structure off of them. It's just the algorithmic bots that perform off of those EMAs tend to mess up with the strategy a bit, but luckily we have some distance away from that, so we don't have to worry about it. When the last time it was kind of a headache for me was back over here. Right here, this was a value area trying to confirm a retest of a break of more of a macro momentum after deviating from this 97-day value area. But yeah, that squeeze event made things a little awkward. You'd definitely be focusing mostly on shorts while that was active until we finally broke the high and confirmed the trend-based move back up. But yeah, you can always learn from my mistakes. The 250-day EMA seem to be the kryptonite of the strategy. Sometimes, yeah. But every time I've traded around it, I had a lower win rate during that time. And then like this here, I know this doesn't look like we're trading at along near the value area low, but back before we established this as more of a macro value area, this was the local value area high, right? And targeting the value area low and liquidity below here. So there's value areas within value areas, but the macro ones you listen to the most. Mitra, yes, makes so much more sense. It's very different to others on YouTube, but when I watch you explain what you see in the chart, it makes so much sense. Yeah. Yeah. Just so I learned from a lot of YouTubers when I first started, and it did burn me a lot. But that's where backtesting comes in, man. You just backtest everything that people say. And that's backtesting is what will allow you to find out whether or not you can trust that trader or that YouTuber. So my trade, you're using a combination of my strategy, ICT, and Alex. ICT, yeah, talks. Alex's strategy talks to this strategy too. You'll notice that with valley areas, it'll talk to a lot of other strategies. I could see why ICT would make a lot of sense using this. Asia session lows, highs, all that stuff. Just preparing for. Yeah, you can merge things together and make your own strategy, guys. Just make sure you backtest everything and give yourself that probability so you know what your odds are, so you can remove the emotion, right? Yeah, Brewberry. Yeah, Brewberry's really good at market structure. He's a great teacher too. So yeah, first stage there, Mitra, is to sit back and try to get everything in a checklist format. Like, what do you need to have happen before you jump into a trade? Right? It could be 4 rules, it could be 3 rules, it could be 2 rules, like the golden cross strategy, right? And then you can have additional rules that allow you to change your risk dynamically, which I don't recommend dynamic risk. I know a lot of professional traders will tell you dynamic risk is the way, but I usually recommend milestone risk management, where you have your account size, say it's $1,000. You stick to the risk of $10 during that scenario, right? Risking to lose. So you can put the whole amount in a trade, almost like $900 into a trade, but everything's relative to your stop loss and the amount of leverage that you use to find out how much margin you'll be putting into that setup. But your goal should be to risk 1%, like $10, to gain $20 or more, and just scale your way up in the most boring way possible, right? The goal is not to risk it all to try to double your account size in a single trade, right? It's just about finding those safe invalidation points for your stop loss guard and being consistent with your R&R as much as you possibly can. So if you get everything in a checklist format, I didn't mean to clone that. If you get everything in a checklist format, then the rest of you can backtest it, screenshot every single time it happened, so you can analyze previous behaviors, log it, yeah, and you're good. Like we as a community, we backtested like over 200, maybe 300 SFPs on the 15-minute time frame to find out the statistical probability of it hitting its most recent proper pullback, right? So like a sweep of a high or a low, for example, like this one that we had this morning, right? We swept this low here. We wanted to see how often would it hit its technical target. And we found out the percentage is like 42%, which is pretty high. So long as the R&R is there, that's great. And then we started stacking confluences. Like, what confluences could we add to this to make a strategy out of just trading SFPs? And we use the MFI being oversold, right, or overbought, so above or below like the 70-30 level. And in confluence with that, a VWAP deviation rule. And how far does it need to deviate to increase your win rate? We were awfully close today. If we use the Benz multiplier of 2.2, that's our rule, right? And tapping that multiplier and then returning, having the MFI below. Let's see, do we have the MFI on here? Yeah. So we need to have the MFI below like 30. And during that time we didn't. It was around like 36 at the time there. But yeah, it will take away opportunities, but it will increase your win rate on the opportunities that you do take. so you can be consistently profitable long term. So you find your favorite way of trading, and then in terms of structure, and then find the layers that you can put over top of that. Kyle, will you show Nathan where to find the fixed range volume profile? Oh, I think we went over that already. Yeah, so just over here on the left-hand side, where you find your long and short position tool, fixed range volume profile. If it's not there for any reason, it might be because of the plan that you're on. I don't know if it's included in the free plan or not. I know that the visible range volume profile is no longer free. It used to be when I first started trading. Yeah, rules. I know I haven't backtested enough. Yeah, so if you want to know like the criteria to establish a strategy, it's 100. You need to have 100 backtested results. And even better if you have like obviously more than that, right? It's just like the coin toss rule. When you're backtesting every single time you flip a coin, it might start where heads is like 60% win rate, right? But if you have like 1,000 results, then it'll start getting closer and closer to 50%, right? Whenever you flip that coin toss. Same thing with your backtesting your strategy. The more you backtest, the more data you have to find out its weaknesses and its strengths. Is it more of a profitable strategy during a bull market? Is it more of a profitable strategy during a bear market? Do you find that your strategy has a higher win rate when you focus on longs or when you focus on shorts? Is your trading window between, like, let's say 9:30 Eastern Standard Time to like 12 p.m. the best trading window for your strategy? And beyond that, does it have a lower win rate? If you're able to get all that data, then you can isolate things to like perfection at that point, and then turn yourself into a master trader just by clicking that replay button and going through all the scenarios. It really sucks when you put all the time into backtesting and you find out everything you backtested is just to tell you that you can't trade that way. But that does teach you something, right? If you built a really bad strategy, it tells you that you can't trade that way, or else you'll lose money longer term. Are you very new to trading? Okay. Yeah, I'd recommend, even if you're only a member for a month, I'd recommend just drilling down and focusing on the course and going through as much as you possibly can so you can learn everything you need to know. But you can learn through backtesting. Like I learned a lot through backtesting. Replay mode, yeah. So you'll see this pop up down below. You can select your bar, or you can set a date. It's easier if you select bar. That way you can isolate things based on bear market conditions, bull market conditions. And then you just put, when you're done, you put a vertical line on your chart like this, leaving a note saying like, hey, back tested to here. All right. I'll show you one of my back testing charts so you can see what I mean. So if we get open SFP back testing. And there are a whole bunch of programs out there, by the way, for back testing. You can also make strategy indicators if you're good at Pine script coding. But this is, I back tested the strategy up until about this moment, the SFP strategy that we built together. And we started it in July. So our results are based on the performance for the past like 170 days, taking just 15-minute SFPs and liquidity sweeps, and how often they hit their measurable target. And we even like back tested other layers, like how could we reduce the chances of being stopped out using a stop loss deviation rule, stuff like that. This is the 4 hour. We're supposed to be on the 15. But yeah, we have, I think we spent over, how many hours? Like 20 hours making this strategy together as a community. We're probably going to build another strategy together again. But yeah, we just went through all this together. And it also really drills into your head, like the strategy itself, right? When you backtest the strategy, you end up mastering the strategy simultaneously. So in this case, we had a legacy like sweep, took the short, target the most recent proper pullback, and target hit, right? In that scenario. And your goal is to be unbiased as possible. Don't try to force, don't dodge the losing trades. Go for every single losing trade, every single winning trade. So you have honest data telling you that this is not going to work out. Like here, another short, swept this high, target the most recent proper pullback, which was way the heck down here. That target was hit. Then we had an SFP for a long right here. Deviation rule met, MFI rule met. Target the high, VWAP got in the way, and then got us stopped out. And we're not backtesting an exit plan based on being reactional to a VWAP. You could do that, but you want to first stick to what is your exit rules going to be, right? That's a really, 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 really important part of backtesting, right? You can do fixed exits like 1 to 2s. Like how often will you get a 1 to 2 versus how often won't you get a 1 to 2? And that we did include that in our backtesting too, but only on the winning and losing trades. Like how often did it provide us at least a 1 to 2? I guess it was all trades. Yeah, we did it on all trades. But yeah, this is kind of what backtesting could look like, right? There's a lot of other tools out there you could use. Trader's Edge is a good tool. We use Google Sheets and TradingView. What's the chat? Backtesting was fun. We have to do it again. Yeah, I want to build a really good swing trading strategy for people who are like busy. People stuck working like a 9 to 5 still. Or people who want to know like when the best opportunity is to invest in an asset using a certain strategy. Like our clairvoyant our mission strategy is really good for knowing when to invest, which by the way, all the rules are almost met for that. We're almost there for knowing when do a macro buy for Bitcoin. And that one's just using on-chain data in confluence with daily market structure. Are you seeing any reversal in Bitcoin? No, we have no evidence yet of a macro reversal of Bitcoin. Not yet. We need to have, like, I said this already in the live, but yeah, we want to have this low swept to rotate higher time frame key levels, like 12 hour, to make this the strong high, and then we'll break this high, and then we're set. That's where, yeah, very, very brief explanation of it. But if you're looking to accumulate Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, spot purchase, like honestly, anything below 62,500 is going to be your optimal area for investing. Not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing. Preparing for buy orders down here. Like spot purchases, not futures. Futures is a little bit more convoluted than that. We can get the SFP sweep from this low, take a futures trade off that. Either be inverse perpetual or coin or regular perpetual trades. But yeah, we have no indication yet that we're reversing just yet. Right now, it actually looks like we're trying to reject off of a macro valley area high, which has become our local point of control for this valley area that we've been in for like 11 days now. All right, guys, I do got to jump off. I got a team meeting 3 minutes ago. So I'm going to be jumping on that and then do some improvements on the Discord. I hope this has helped you out. I was really hopeful for a long here, but we never stabilized support off of this previous high. We instead closed below the VWAP and started coming back down. So now it's just a matter of looking for reversal structure here for a local move to the valley area high to 70,050. So yeah, we're just looking for that bullish change of character after tapping the hourly order block below this local valley area. Acceptance into the orb, break up momentum, and off to the races we go, being very cautious at the point of control at 68,950. If we do not find support here, our next area of interest is at 64,500. It is a golden pocket from the pull from this low to this high, and there's over $200 million worth of liquidity in that area. So just prepare for a reaction in the zone if we don't get the bullish change of character here. All right, guys. Alrighty, I hope this has helped you guys out. Reach out to me in the Discord if you need help with anything. And I hope you guys have yourself an amazing day, and I'll see you tomorrow at 10:30 Eastern. See you guys.